Hey, we're back on the spring bolt project, and I want to show you how it's coming along. I've been working pretty hard lately and really busy, and I had time to work on it today a little bit. I want to show you the whole assembly here real quick. This is the actual shaft from a used strut from a semi-truck. It's going to push the fiberglass bolt out of the end of the barrel right here. I had a steel insert machine to fit inside this aluminum here. I'll show you that later. Here I'm using screws from, I think it's from an old microwave, and what I do is screw them in to this nut. I machined a couple of them. I had somebody machine a couple of them here, and they fit inside of this old jack handle. And yeah, what I've done is just drilled holes, tapped it with Harbor Freight tap, and screwed them in until I couldn't screw it anymore. And then I took a pair of vice grips and just twisted them off. Use this really nice antique file of mine to just file them flat off. Yeah, this is the cocking mechanism, and I've these were two separate pieces of threaded Acme-like thread, and I just had to cut off the end and thread this 3/8 and then screw it into this 3/8 standoff nut, or long nut, whatever you want to call it. And then I just drilled it, put some roll pins in there, and I'm doing the same thing on this end. There's a small bushing in there. It has to be held in place, and that's going to pull this whole thing back to cock it. So I'm going to screw these in until it just holds that ring in place, because inside here, you've got the nut that's going to be pulled along until the trigger pops up and catches it. So that's how this experiment's going so far. I'm probably going to add on to this video, most likely. Okay, I'm back, and we're working on this section now. This is just a regular lock nut that I had machined down, and then this is a bushing I just had in an assortment. And I had another bushing that goes in here because this is completely threaded on this shaft right here. And this is the actual bushing that pulls this back, that gets mounted in here. So these holes are going to hopefully hold it in place. They're also threaded. And hopefully 4 screws, are enough and I'm going to grind the heads off to hold that. So the actual trigger catch is going to slide into this groove. That's the theory. And this is the cocking tube. That's what I call it. Goes on just like that. So on this section of the video, I'm going to show how I'm trying to calculate where this rear barrel section goes. I know it's going to stop about this area. This is like a dampening seal or bushing. I don't know, I can't remember where I got that. Kind of unusual, thick O-ring. So I've got these all holding that center bushing in place so that it can cock. It can pull this back and cock it. And then so I made a straight line where my trigger catch is going to be here, because inside here is one of these with one of those screwed on the end, and then I've got a spacer and a bushing. That bushing is what actually this bushing here is pushing against. So I've got to have a space in between the nut. So the nut itself is going to be actually where the trigger, if I can do this, sets up in here like this. So it goes, so it's engaged. Just goes click. So we know this thing's cocked. Well, so that's what that spot is right there. That's where it would be in this position, where the trigger would be inside that hole. And so I'm going to cut the slot with a grinder, angle grinder, all the way to this point. Then I'm going to need a screw, like this one here. This is where my trigger handle is going to be, my pistol grip is going to be. Well, this screw I initially put here, it's in the wrong spot. It needs to be back further, right around this area, I believe, at this point. Now this could move, because I'm also thinking of adding another section of spring to the end of this, because I've got more cocking tube than I used to have. So we'll just have to see what goes on with that. And then of course I got one of these bushings, which are threaded, locked in here now with those screws I just broke off and then filed them flush, because this tube's going to have to go in and out of this tube, back and forth inside there. So I know this is really complicated and may be slightly boring, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we have this this long nut here, and I marked it for the length of the bushing that's inside here. And I'm probably going to put a washer here, and I'm probably going to put a washer here, because when I wind this thing up, this is going to be all the way back here when I cock it. So I'm going to crank this thing up like this, and that's about 4 inches or so that I can compress the spring here with. So that's how it's going right now. I'll be back shortly.